All right, welcome everyone to the AI Hotline podcast. So we are happy to be back at it and start sharing things about news, topics, tools, whatever comes up today. But today we do have a list of things to cover that we'll get into. And so let's just go around and everyone introduce themselves.
Yes, my name's Heather Grizzard. I've been in the automations industry for about 15 years, so I'm more of like the tech side of the conversation.
Jamie White, I'm from Delaware, basically go high level guru and doing automations with the AI, as well as been in the real estate and construction world for 35 years.
Will Castillo out of Miami, Florida. I am a marketer and advertiser for the past 10 years, and I love AI and Google Gemini.
Definitely. I'm April Elias. For the past 20 years, I've been in talent acquisition, but a very tech forward role in management consulting. I have been super focused, actually hyper focused on AI and how we can implement it in our day-to-day workflow to just be more efficient and effective. And so we are all working in the AI space in different capacities. So we just each bring a different perspective. And so today we're actually going to kick it off with the topic of actually jobs and how jobs are being impacted. And just because that's something that I work in day to day, how jobs are being impacted by AI. A lot of, I guess, I don't know if they're rumors, some of them are actually true about how AI is impacting not only the way that we work, but it's also impacting the amount of opportunities. And there's a debate on whether it's reducing jobs, but is it just reducing jobs and we don't have more jobs, or is it reducing jobs and creating new jobs that didn't exist before?
Well, what are some of the jobs that are currently being replaced or being impacted, if you have that?
So a lot of the ones that are being replaced and impacted are like customer service, receptionist, those types of jobs. So a lot of the repetitive tasks that can typically be automated, now they can just be automated and augmented with an agentic or an agent, an AI agent style of replacement for that role. But then there's the opposite side of the argument that's saying, yes, AI is helping us create efficiencies and automating the repeat stuff, but then people are actually busier in their role and more different and unique roles get created. So you have this freeing of capacity, this increased capacity because of AI, but then it gives you more time to follow through on your ideas. So somebody might have 10 ideas, but can only get to 2 ideas before AI. But now because of AI, they have more bandwidth and now they're actually busier because then they can get to like 5 ideas. And so that actually creates more work and you're more busy. So people are kind of experiencing that idea execution fatigue and it's just a different way.
And I agree with that. I think a lot of it falls back to using AI to be lazy and replace what you do, and basically replacing your own job, or using AI to amplify what you do and do your job better and quicker and faster and be able to get more things done.
Yeah, absolutely. Will, you were going to say something?
One thing that I must say is like a lot of people are getting even a little bit of burnout from being able to just do like a lot more, and then all these ideas start popping up, and then like they try to do things a lot quicker. So like for again going from like experience, I have 3 windows open running 5 different like chats on 5 different topics of 5 different tasks that I'm trying to do or 5 different projects that I'm working on. It seems like I'm getting things done a lot quicker because I'm able to get that information. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I'm just so exhausted because I'm having all this like brain power go to so many things at the same time. I wonder if that's something that like companies are actually, trying to implement in their teams. I think I saw a stat or some sort of graph that it was like what one 40-person team used to do, now one person can do it with like Claude code and canvases. It's a little worrisome, but at the same time is exciting, I guess.
Yeah. And I think Heather can appreciate having a bunch of tabs open with a bunch of ideas. She's a big idea generator.
Yes, to my detriment sometimes. I I'm in a lot of Reddits for this, and it's interesting just to see the way that the conversations have changed since probably since the spring. So in the spring, everybody was worried about like, oh my gosh, AI is going to take over and like I'm going to lose my job. And like they're almost panicking, especially in the developer industry. And because all these like new tools are coming out of like being able to just create full platforms through AI. But now I think that's kind of calmed down and people are talking about this AI bubble that like everyone got so excited about it being able to just do everything and like remove people from that side of things. But I think now that people have calmed down, it's like, no, that's not actually the case. Sure, it could speed up the process, but if you go completely AI, then you run into more issues down the road and it becomes a lot harder to continue to develop. So I think even the companies that have like fired all of their developers and like the CEO is very AI forward, they're also like taking a step back and realizing that they still need that manpower and they're having to rehire people.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're seeing that a lot of the human oversight is still required. So it's really the person with the domain expertise that's augmented by AI is the one that really has the most momentum and has the most impact. So if your example of a developer, like if they were a really good developer and they've embraced AI, because some developers that I've met are very just like old school kind of purists, like this is the way it's got to be. And so I've had difficulty trying to assimilate someone like that to the team because they're just kind of stuck in their ways in that way. They're not as adaptable and they're not as flexible. And so, but they might be brilliant developers in the way that they're used to developing. So, but if somebody who's AI forward and has all of that brilliance and just has an open mind and sees the possibilities, they can leverage AI and have like a handful of really great developers that could do the work of multiple developers. So it's really about the humans in the loop that are augmented with the AI and their use of it and their strategy on the use of it. So that's what I've been seeing personally with.
Another thing I read the other day was falling back to a lot of people are losing their jobs due to AI, but how many are becoming solopreneurs and how many of them are being able to start their own company and run their own thing? And because a lot of it is all based online, they're not having as easy of a time to track it to like say these stats are here. But there's a lot more people are getting into being able to be a solopreneur and be able to do things yourself and not rely on corporate America.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a big reskilling of people. Like they're gonna have to figure it out how to actually make it work with AI tools and even just learn new things from the ground up. It speaks a lot as well as like, understanding how to really structure a business or how to systematize things that you need to do and comprehend that, right? I was wondering, April, do you see that currently in at your job, like what you're seeing, whether like there's jobs being created that are complementing this news AI era, or is that not like a big boom just yet?
Well, it's definitely evolving to that, and it's more around the AI education and helping people upskill, right? Because a lot of companies realize like we have some really great talent, and that's really the heartbeat of our company, and that's what makes us, run every day. And so they do want to keep those key hires, that key talent, while offering a space to where they can have access to a cutting edge opportunity to grow. So everyone's always interested, well, most people are interested in learning and expanding their skill sets, specifically in our environment, a consulting environment. So they're like, how can I expand my skill sets in this consulting environment, stay relevant, not get overwhelmed, still deliver, still use my domain expertise and see my work come to life a little bit more closely. And I'd say those positions have evolved to that because as our clients are like, we know we need to get on board with AI. We know AI has it's a it's not as successful as typical like IT projects, meaning IT projects generally they have a significant failure rate, right? It's pretty significant, but the AI ones are even more significant because people don't have the experience in executing the AI implementations or people don't anticipate things that might come up. And so, yes, there is new opportunity. It is evolving and new roles are being created because before OpenAI released, ChatGPT on us and people started to adopt it more and more over the next 24 months, 2 years, there was no chief AI officer as prevalent as it is now. Now that a legit role that everybody needs.
To my understanding, there was AI already being used in companies very largely. It wasn't just popularized, and people didn't understand what that meant. But I mean, obviously you guys know I really like Gemini and Google, but like Google is the original large language model. I mean, think about it. It's the original algorithm. It makes sense that after ChatGPT came into the mainstream, essentially now AI is the topic of discussion.
Yeah, and specifically on our team, like we've always had an AI machine learning and data science team. We had all of that talent together in one group. but it was a small team. It was maybe like 10 people, right? And then OpenAI hits the scene because we did a lot of advanced analytics and data strategy. So we needed the AI and the machine learning piece to deliver at that level. But then as soon as OpenAI is like, here's ChatGPT, and it was in everyone's awareness and it was gaining momentum, it was like, snap, we need to hire a bunch of people. But it was a very interesting time because we had to hire for skills that didn't quite exist yet. Right. So I feel like a lot of companies and a lot of teams are like, I need to hire for skills that don't quite exist yet. Because just because somebody's has the technical aptitude, right, or the technical capability, it doesn't mean that they're going to be good with being open minded, being adaptable, and adjust to things and be able to iterate quickly because it makes you move at a much faster pace. And not everybody is comfortable with that pace, right? And so that's been interesting to see. So we hire people more for their attributes, meaning, you know, what what's their story? What is it about them that got them interested in this role at all? And depending on those answers, we can kind of predict, without you with or without using AI, but we can predict through the interview process who might be able to hit the ground running and just be a thought leader. So we're looking for people who have potential to be thought leaders in this space and people who have the potential to be really innovative and creative because it takes more innovation and creativity to be successful along with technical aptitude, which is interesting to watch and see and experience for sure.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned something earlier that a lot of people are running into now also. It's like, oh, I can use AI, I can build an app in 5 minutes and they create the app and then who supports the app? And they don't know how to support it. They don't know how they build it. They don't know the problems. They don't know what's wrong. It's just, it was easy to build and then there's no support and then it flops again.
Heather, I know you've seen that.
I mean, I've talked to several people who they struggle with even finishing an app. So they get through the 90% of it being easy and AI being able to like generate all the pretty stuff, and then they get to the actual like meat of it and like how it functions. And then they're just like, I'm stuck now. I don't know where to go. I need to hire somebody, but I don't want to spend any money.
Right. Right? It's like they've got this pretty shell, but they don't know how to plug it in, turn on the switches, and have it actually go live and work and be functional.
So what are some of the predictions that people are having in terms of like where the jobs are going? Is it mostly entrepreneurship people that are entrepreneurs that are coming out now because of all this, or is there an actual, I guess you could say, the start of certain industries popping up? Obviously, energy I think would be a one. I would assume because all this big what do you call? I think it was called Stargate was the project. I mean, that's a huge development project, and I would assume that as it continues to grow, right, the need for those plans, more and more people are going to be needed in that space, unless AI it's already obviously taking over that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody wants to add. This is like jobs and jobs in the economy is like my jam every day, but I want to give people other people the opportunity to contribute on that, and then I'll just chime in at the end if anybody has anything to add to what Will said. No,
No.
just like
I follow a little bit of those things because for some reason every time that I'm like either on what do you call it, shorts on YouTube, things like that pop up, and then I'm always like a little bit aware of that. But yeah, one thing that I saw and that I heard is like essentially the energy industry is going to be quadruple in terms of like what it needs because the current infrastructure that we have doesn't really support it. So that's why a lot of money is going to that.
mhm.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
all I know is that there's a bunch of AI agencies that are popping up, and it seems like maybe that's just what's on my feed, but it seems like everyone and their grandma are creating like these just quick little things where they can try to get to like $10,000 a month just doing like AI projects for companies because, and it makes sense because AI, like companies don't have AI in it. A lot of them,
Mhm.
especially the companies that have older owners, they don't want to take the first step to, even implement a lot of technology. So as, they continue on, then it's just kind of that silver tsunami situation. But then just thinking about all the kind of the in-between businesses where the owners just aren't tech savvy.
Yeah, and I think that's a space where there's a huge, huge opportunity because even though, the Big Fours, the McKinseys, they're out. I think it was McKinsey or I don't know, one of the Big Fours. They had 600 million in billing just for AI strategy, just for AI strategy, and they haven't even scratched the surface. And so that's a huge, like, that's huge for a practice group, or and for a newer one too, and they're just getting started with this. And so a lot of companies don't have the budget to hire like a McKinsey that could be, 500, 700, $1,300 an hour for AI strategy, which is an obscene amount of money. And so there is opportunity for these mid to small market. So to your point, Heather, about these AI agencies popping up, you get in there and you solve one problem for, a sub shop or a landscaper or the electrician or whoever, that has such a meaningful impact on them. They're going to experience a huge ROI. And then the smaller person popping up, the AI agency, is going to win too. It's kind of like, I'm going to date myself when I say this, but I'm going to date myself anyway. So I started recruiting before YT, which means before the year 2000, for those of you that don't know. So I started recruiting in scientific engineering and IT. So at that time, everybody was freaking out and paying top dollar for IT talent to come in. Just they were like, well, when 1999 goes to 2000, everybody's bank account's going to get wiped out. And we're like, that doesn't even make sense. But if you want to pay us to do whatever it is you think you need done, we'll do it. But then that's when it started to be like the whole .com thing, that whole, like, that totally changed the way we worked. It created a lot of new jobs. People found themselves, like, people that were technical and kind of caught that wave. They had that inflection point to where they're like, you know what? I can do this myself. And it kind of created that more of a gig economy that we might have seen prior. So that was one point that was a huge pivot. And then the second pivot that I saw was during the financial crisis of 2007, 2008. A lot of middle management, a lot of banks, everybody. I mean, I'm in Delaware, so we have almost every major bank has a headquarters here with thousands of employees in that headquarters. So a lot of those people got downsized. And when that happened, that was middle management. It literally wiped out middle management almost completely, or anybody with a bloated salary that they could kind of handle things, in jobs that didn't pay as much, right? So they did a lot of restructuring in that way. But then that also was another inflection point for that talent that got, instead of that talent being, seeing opportunity and going after it like they did in Y2K, that opportunity got downsized and they got forced to have that inflection point and figure out, do I want to go work for another bank, or do I want to, pursue my passion? So that's when a lot of, passion companies came out, to where people are like, I'm just going to pivot. I've got this severance for a year or whatever it was. And so then there was a whole nother gig economy around that. And so it's just been interesting to see, because the same thing happened in COVID, but in a different way. It was the opposite. There was a war on talent. So anybody could have been a recruiter in, anybody could have been a $500,000 a year biller in recruiting during COVID. People were paying obscene amounts of money for recruiting because
Oh my god, yeah.
it's insane. We lost a lot of talent. We tried, but what was nice about us is we stayed the course. We were like, look, we're not going to have this knee jerk reaction. We're not going to overspend and have this hiring hangover of hiring too many people that are too expensive, that ultimately it's B talent, right? You can pay top dollar for A talent in a market, but it was a situation where people were paying more than top dollar for B and C talent. And so it's like, well, we're not going to do that. We're just going to stay the course. But it was insane. It was so tempting for me to be like, look, I could go make $1 million real quick and, bill a bunch of stuff. But there's a window of opportunity. But anyway, that's another point to where people are like, I've been forced to stay in my house. I have to work from home. I'm going to get rich on TikTok or whatever, right? A lot of people just kind of quietly quit and they became TikTok stars or whatever they became. But then that created a whole new economy of a different kind of gig economy. There were a lot more creators during COVID. And so this AI thing is like a version of that, but on steroids, because AI can have you move so fast. And if you have enough expertise and enough discipline to stay focused on like one tab, which is so hard to do. Like you're talking about having all those tabs open. If you can
Yeah.
stay focused on one tab, just think about if you stayed focused on like the one tab that was like the best idea and you just stayed committed to it, what would it look like today? Like that's me. My focus was like super diffused because I'm like, oh, this is a good idea. This is a good idea. This is a good idea. So it's the people who were just like doubling down on either just offering this one service, right? Or just mastering chatbots or just mastering voice or just mastering, I'm going to build this funnel and AI for people, just mastering that thing. Those are the ones who are like really like crushing it and winning it. And there's tons of opportunity for them at the moment. So that was a very long answer. I hope I
Great
hope
job.
that was helpful. So there you go.
I think you bring something you brought something up, which is like the very niche of the niche of the niche are the ones that are popping up because it's really concentrated and focused. But that also makes me think like it's like what industries are safe for the next 5 to 10 years. And the first one that comes, I don't know why, the first one that comes up to mind is construction and any sort of like skill trade. Like a plumber is way more safe right now than like an office clerk, obviously. I mean, office clerk jobs can be just automated, while a plumber is like, no, 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 you need to go physically and actually do things. So I think those jobs are super safe. I think also anything in healthcare is super safe, or even education is super safe. I mean, if you look at it like today, there's more educators out there because they realize that they can throw out content a lot quicker and utilize tools to be able to like push more of their content precisely. Yeah, again, if you guys are seeing that the same, if you guys seeing that same thread, any thoughts?
As
You
you
see
say
that?
that, I watched one earlier that the guy was mowing the lawn and he stopped to take a picture of the robot mowing the lawn across the street.
Have you seen the thing that, like, it will, like, add the roof on for you? So, like, all the roofers are investing in that now, or they're looking at investing in it. So I think it's just, like, what's the newest invention in a lot of these fields that are just gonna, like, completely take over and remove the manual labor, so maybe it is that, like, one-person company.
The guy,
Right. Well, and you're talking about robotics at that point, right? So like once you put both together, AI and robotics, which is seems to be the trend, is when that's going to start happening a lot more. But I don't foresee that happening securely or like in a mass scale for the next 5 years at least.
I watched something the
5
other day
years?
on Elon Musk, and it was kind of going through all the steps of everything that he's working on. And like, I've never put it all together, but the way they put it together was like, why does someone take this $1 billion company to bore a hole across the California and everything else to go through? And why did he build the rocket company? It's like, okay, well, he built the rockets to get us to Mars. He's getting the boring machine because we can't live above Mars, so let's live below Mars. You have to have, like, for doctors and stuff like that, would all be neuroscience and like that. Like, and we're not going to be able to drive, whatever. Like, it's all going to be shuttling around and stuff like that because you can't have people out, so the cars will self drive themselves. So it's like everything that was piece by piece, everything through Elon's life for the last 15 years, all put together of it's all planned to be for Mars. And like you sit back and go, wow, that's crazy. And it's all based on AI technology and robots.
Yeah,
So
he is a rocket scientist. I see that being the case from him. He definitely took that PayPal money and invested in the right places, I guess.
I saw another one where robots were hanging drywall. They would hang it, tape it, finish it, and then the robot came right behind it and painted it. And they were just going right down an office building, doing the walls right behind it in one step. It's like, well, there goes another tech.
Where are these robots at? Is this like in Korea or like here in the US?
U.S. Hilti. So
Hilti is
Germany,
doing it?
Hilti's does the whole process.
What? I need that.
I don't see it doing a residential house yet, but for a
I
commercial
know.
building where it's going down the line, it's building
Yeah.
the thing.
But to your point, while I do think those services, those hands-on trades, and especially a licensed trade has the most amount of security for the longest amount of time. But then also if that service or that, licensed trade company implements AI in just their operations, like their marketing, their receptionist, their appointment booking, their, all of the things, all of the sales and marketing and operational things that can be AI'd for them to free them up to just all they have to do is go to work and, like, bust their butt to get a five-star review. I feel like they're going to be able to get a lot more five-star reviews because 'cause they're focused on that and not everything is their problem. Because typically those companies that are smaller, even if they just have a couple trucks and a couple crews, whoever the owner is, and even if they have a right-hand person or a couple office people, you still feel like everything is your problem. But if you empower your ops person with, like, a lot of that other stuff that usually takes up brain space in an owner, I think I think that could improve the quality of services.
Yeah, and it adds up to the interpersonal skills, right, of the people executing those jobs. Which I mean, I think we're gonna go from a place where like we were always very, you know your neighbor, you were always outside, to then going inside, always with a device in your hand, on the TV all day, to then now AI does everything for you, so you need that human connection. I think that's eventually what's gonna happen. I just don't know what scale or how bad it will be for those people that maybe are not aware of what's going on. And I think this is a topic that we have discussed in the past, but it's as clear as day now of what's going on because of how fast things are moving. And they were moving fast 6 months ago. They're moving, I don't know, light speed today. It just feels like it's a never stopping, or there's no solution for it. It's just like, hey, you got to catch up with it, or you're gonna be left behind as a business.
And at some point, the interaction, I think we brought this up before, the interaction right now, everything is AI to human, and the AI to AI is coming in much stronger and will start taking over and be the solution. So you'll be able to say, my toilet's clogged, and you're going to hear Siri in the back. John's Plumbing can be there. $65. He'll be there in an hour. And like, you don't have to do anything. It just happens. You don't need to talk to someone on the other end. You just need to approve it.
So is it kinda like that Amazon button when you need laundry detergent?
Exactly.
Basically.
But when you walk by Alexa, you say, I need laundry detergent, and it shows up at the door.
Mhm.
Don't need to say order. You don't need to put in a credit card. You don't need to do anything. You just like crap them out of laundry detergent and it shows up. Your refrigerator is going to say, hey, your milk's bad, and a new gallon of milk shows up. The whole interaction of the people in between the transaction can literally disappear. You need milk, it shows up. When you put it in the fridge, it scans it. You take it out, it scans it.
Do any of you guys follow Gary Vee at all or see any of the stuff that pops up? Does he pop up on your feed at all? So, I saw something that popped up on my feed the other day, and he said, "Mark my words, this is gonna sound weird, but just take note. There's gonna be a job for people to, like, you hire somebody to just go for a walk with you, like, as your friend, and have a chat with you and have a human conversation, because people are going to have so much disconnect because of those examples and everything that you just said, Jamie. They're going to crave that human connection, and there is going to be a business. And I kind of feel like there might already be one, but maybe it would just be more expansive and more normalized to be like, hey, I want to go for a 3 mile walk, but I don't want to do it with AirPods or Meta Ray-Bans and like just be disconnected with just me and the tech. I actually need a person. So I was like, that's an interesting concept to think of, but he said as people become more disconnected, they're going to want to have that type of experience. I was like, "Huh, maybe."
I don't know if I agree with that. I think and, like, a lot of the younger people, like the Gen Zs, they're so immersed in TikTok, and so they have their online community, and that is how they interact with people, and that's been happening for the past, 15 or 20 years as the internet has come out. So people have their online communities, but they don't have to leave their house for them. So they can still, like, jump on and do their gaming with their friends, but they don't have to, like, actually interact with them, and there's a ton of people who just don't even wanna leave their house now. They
Mhm.
don't wanna, like, have that actual real interaction. A lot of them don't even wanna come on video, like, to even have, like, a fake interaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Farther
It's
divide
true.
for the introverts.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, we're having, and a lot of companies are asking people to come back to the office. And some people are like, yes, thank you. They were really struggling being remote so much. And then there's certainly the population of people that are like, nope, fire me. So there's definitely strong numbers on both sides. And that's just been interesting to see. Because you'd think like, oh, everybody would want to work from home. Like nobody's going to want to come back. but especially the earlier in career that we're seeing, they're like starving for that in-person interaction because they're looking for networking opportunities. They're looking to grow their career. They want access to experts. They want access to the executives so they can, learn through by being around them in person and through osmosis and through all the reasons that you'd want to be in an office as an early in career person who's aspiring towards something specific. And so we expected like maybe the kids, right? Like maybe the recent grads would totally want to be remote and almost none of them want to be remote. And so maybe it's the industry that we're in because we're in management consulting. Maybe it's because of that, and they thrive off of, networking, and that's how because when you're a consultant, you're ultimately always selling, but not in a way that salesy, if that makes sense. It's more in a way to understand what the client needs and listen and be present and just know the service offerings to be able to introduce relevant capabilities when it's appropriate, so it's actually a valuable introduction, and so a lot of that is lost on them unless they're with, their mentors or senior levels on the team.
I think that also depends a lot on the company culture, for the company
Mhm.
that they work with, because my first job out of college had a very, very strong company culture. Like, it was pretty amazing to be a part of, and it was, like, exciting to go into work every day. Like, we would literally have Nerf gun wars, like, on a weekly basis, like, full company, like, everyone had their Nerf gun. So, like, if it's not exciting to go into work, then that's a piece of it, and then, like, those exciting, like, rich culture companies, sometimes whenever you're working from home, they turn into, like, those micromanagers, because that's what I experienced with that same company. They're like, "Why are you not online on Slack?" This was before the Teams days, or
Yeah.
not Slack, but, Skype. We use Skype for the
Oh,
company
Skype,
stuff.
yeah.
So Skype, so if the green bubble was not popping up, they're like, "Where are you at?" And it's like, "Dude, I'm in the bathroom, like, give me some space."
You didn't have a mouse remote? Keep it moving?
Not back then. I don't think
Yeah,
people were
there's
doing that back then, were they?
I don't think that, my mouse would reach that far, but yeah, I would definitely try that trick from across the
No, I
room.
used to have a little motor on my mouse, and it would move it around on the desk.
The mouse
You were one
jiggler.
of those, Jamie. You were one of those.
It was. But another thing
This
to
is
point out what you're talking about too is also focus. So a lot of those people need to, yeah, I'll even use you as an example, April. If you didn't have to go through a maze to get to your office, if you were in the other part of the house all day, all the time, would you be more distracted and do other things you shouldn't be doing, or would you still focus as much on work? And sometimes you have to get out of that surrounding and to get into the true work environment to stay focused on work. And then there's other people that Will has this quiet lifestyle and he can sit there and work all day and nobody bothers him. Not really. But so it's like those different things become different too of in both your situations, like there's no rush to get to an office, where there's other people like, I gotta get out of this house so I can focus. And that falls into some of the people that want to go back to the office versus, no, I'm never going back to the office.
definitely true.
Sorry, I didn't mean to leave you out there, Heather.
No, you made me think of something because to your point, Heather, earlier on the company culture. So before COVID, I was at an office. We were like 50 people, and the company culture was strong, but not to the point where like people would want to stay because the company culture when all these like massive job offers started coming up. So I made it my mission to if we were going to stay offline, like sorry, we're going to stay online, like meaning like not office, not you know not bringing people back into an office. Is like how do we make it so that it's fun? I mean, it sounds like when you had Nerf gun wars, that's incredible. First of all, that is incredible. We would do something called coffee breaks. Is once a month, and it's really the team they volunteer and they prep this like game with the rest of the agency. So for an hour, entire hour, we're playing a game where like one of the team members is the one that puts it together. Sometimes they come up with things like Jeopardy or like games online that we all play, and that kind of like has triggered a lot of when they get offers elsewhere. They're like, I don't know if I want to leave because of how good I have it on this side.
Mhm.
So it goes back to the even if it's an online thing, as you're mentioning, Heather, the fact that you're getting to interact with people and having that interpersonal, I guess, experience, it's important. And like the only way to do that is if you enhance the company with AI technology and like all this productivity enhancement with it, but at the same time you keep the human approach of like enjoying time together. And I think when I see all these like big companies firing forth, it's like, damn, it's sad. You couldn't figure it out like any other way to like keep those people. I mean, these are 4,000 families that are going to be affected. And that's the sad part.
Well, that just gave me an idea. So, when a lot of people were laid off in like the 2007, 2008 time, one of the things of their severance package was, hey, we'll give you this, resume writing help. We'll give you this, and part of the thing, I actually volunteered in a job club and I taught job clubs for free because I just felt terrible. But the, just getting people ready to interview, right? Like they needed to be able to organize their thoughts, to communicate their accomplishments that are relevant to the job that they're applying for. So doing something like that was helpful because it helped people interview better and reduce the nerves and all that kind of stuff. I wonder if there's a way, and I don't know if anybody's thought of this, it might already be a thing. So people are being downsized instead of saying like, hey, we'll hook you up with we'll get you a resume. We'll help, get you placed somewhere because there's placement services that'll do that. Maybe they should be offering, or there is an offering to where they can upskill them with AI skills. Like, hey, you have a 6-month severance, but spend the next 90 days diving deep and learning AI in the workplace, like the basics of AI in the workplace, so you can be upskilled and more marketable. Because depending on the level and the types of jobs that are being downsized, the domain expertise, like I can't emphasize that enough, how important the domain expertise with the AI is, because you could have all this AI output and it looks amazing and it looks like it's right. But if you don't have that person who actually has that real experience checking it and making sure that it's right and putting in their experience, then it's just kind of like AI slop. But I wonder if
You, s-
there's
you
something.
see that all the time too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I haven't even thought of that. Never really thought of that. I mean, we don't have, 4,000 people that we're firing. So obviously I don't have that kind of problem to solve. But um, yeah, I think that's a great idea if that was to be even offers like an upskill or getting trained to be able to understand how to use it at whatever job that we're already doing or how to implement it with whatever job that we're already doing.
Yeah. It's not like a new concept or idea, but I'm just thinking like because AI is having such a dramatic impact on the workforce in some sectors, are companies who offer that service thinking like, hey, are we going to offer an AI upskill opportunity for those who are interested? I don't know, just throwing it.
I think if big companies are not doing that, they're doing a disservice to the entire world.
Agreed.
It doesn't cost them that much to even do that. It's at all. Like it's a program that I'm sure they probably an HR department could literally like put together within a couple months very easily.
With AI.
Literally with AI.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope they are.
AI momentum exit service.
I'd have to have a more positive vibration word than exit on that. AI momentum in power. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean the timeline of all this happening, it's dramatic. I think they just did a new job survey right recently, report. There's like a million jobs that have been lost. It's like 900 and something thousand downward compared to last year. So, I mean, things are ticking really fast. And as long as I am upskilling myself and you have that mindset of always like trying to get better, like I'll be fine. But I wonder what's going to happen with, those that don't.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the government is going to be there for them. I'm sure of that. No, nobody's coming to save you anyways.
No. And I think it's very exciting. It's very exciting for the go-getter. It's very exciting for the go-getter who likes to learn and who likes to like move. It's not exciting for the lazy person, right? But then at the same time, that company probably needed to get rid of that lazy person anyway.
That lazy
So
person learned AI, then they could continue to be lazy.
Exactly.
That is true.
Yes. Yes. Every I guess the PSA here is everybody needs to learn AI.
Quite literally, everybody needs to learn AI. Everybody needs to learn what a system is, how to establish a system, and actually how to utilize AI and some level of automation. I mean, if you don't know any level of this today, no matter the age, by the way, you're in deep trouble. So I think the biggest things that have come down in terms of like job security is on precisely like things in terms of like utilities or like professional services, right? Because that's where majority of these AI comes into play. So if you're not learning how to actually utilize it or automate something with it, and to Heather's point way earlier, all these automation agencies and AI agencies that are popping up, just grab one tiny little problem that you can find and like go and like figure it out. Like you can literally ask AI to like tell you, like mobilize it.
And since Will isn't mentioning it, let's break for a commercial. Of Will, April, and I are doing a semester for Peace More Bees communities. So that's sub 2 Gator and top tier TC. We're super excited about it. It's a 6-week like class that we're putting on. And yeah, if you're part of those communities, make sure to check out the calendar. It's every Monday at 12 p.m. Arizona time or 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
Next class is Monday, this coming Monday.
Mhm.
So make it out there.
It is. It is. And all of us, Heather, on your under thing, put your Instagram if anybody wants to find us directly. We all have our is yours an Instagram, Jamie? Mine's an Instagram.
It is. Well, it's everything, but yeah, Instagram.
Samesies. I was able to get my name. I know Will's is, and Heather's getting hers up there. So until she gets it up there, it's at Heather.Grizzard.
Yes. I'm be such a tech person, sometimes I have the most trouble with just little things like that. I can't figure out how to do it.
Oh yeah, no worries. No
Just
worries.
click your
You
name
just
and you
click
can
on your
actually edit
name and
it.
a box will
Oh
go
my
around.
gosh. It sits up
Yeah.
on for weeks.
Well, back to what you said a minute ago, I have a question. And in your opinion, as people are getting into AI, should they learn a little bit about everything or master one? What's your opinion?
Look, at the end of the day, like you have to start with one. So I would say master one, and then the other ones you're gonna start learning them as you go. So master one, because if not, then if you try to learn everything, you learn nothing. And guilty because I started learning every single tool out there, and then I realized, hold on, I like Gemini. So I'm gonna try and use it. I'm gonna continue to say that. There's gonna be a highlight reel of me saying Gemini, Gemini. Definitely master one, and then the other ones will come anyways, because you're gonna have to find solutions for things, and then those things you're gonna be able to actually do them, because using AI, you're gonna learn them anyways.
Mhm.
Does everybody agree?
Yeah. I mean, if you start with the one that has the most that's recognized in most households, which is probably ChatGPT, until Will is done with his Gemini campaign. But I love Gemini too, but not as much as Will. And if you start with that, I feel like a lot of other AI platforms swipe inspiration from OpenAI, and then similarly, when somebody comes and has this like bomb feature that's amazing, OpenAI figures out a way to incorporate almost the same exact thing or something similar. So if you get in there and you start working it, you'll understand how a lot of them generally work, and you can take those skills and apply them and just learn other platforms more quickly. But I totally agree with the focus on one, because you essentially learn nothing being too diffused. I did so OpenAI, and I forgot this part, but OpenAI did launch, or they're in the process of launching, an AI powered hiring platform that
Mm.
is aimed at training millions of workers with AI skills, but I don't know if companies are like, I don't know if it's paid. I don't know the details of it. I know that they're collaborating with Walmart on that on some level, because I could imagine, I mean, just with the not even really like AI, just the self-checkouts alone impact a lot of Walmart employees, I would imagine. And so I guess it's maybe their way to like solve that problem and help upskill that talent. But I don't know if it's paid. I don't know what it is, but if other companies are doing that too. But I thought that was interesting because I think they get so much pressure for getting accused of cutting a lot of jobs. But then also at the same time, if I was OpenAI, I'd kind of be like, I gave you this cool thing to where you could literally build an insane business if you just like worked it, right? Like it works if you work it. If you team up with somebody smart and keep it
A
going.
study on the Walmart thing, and one of the reasons they do so many cashless or peopleless registers or self checkout, the amount of money that was being stolen from the cashiers versus the amount of money that people steal out of the store, the average is about the same. But in the hiring thing, they could hire people to greet people, they could hire security guards, they could hire managers. They could not keep employees on staff for cashiers. So because they were the ones that were going to strike, they were the ones having the problems. Everyone called like they couldn't fill the positions, so they eliminated the position because they couldn't fill it. But from the outside looking in, they eliminated all these jobs.
See, that's interesting because it's a reallocation of talent.
Same thing if you go to Amazon, everybody stocking the shelves at Amazon, they're the ones getting hurt. They're the ones causing problems. They're the ones going on strike. They're the ones saying we want a union. Like all these problems come into the people that are doing that position in Amazon. Now it's all robotic. And then it's like, okay, well, you took all these jobs away. Cool. Let's put people back in, but now all the robots help them do their job. So they found a happy medium, but the people weren't showing up to do the job that they needed done. So the robots took the place. So it's like people, again, lazy. They didn't want to do the job. They wanted to be the manager. They wanted to be this. They wanted to be that. They didn't want to do the actual work. So the robots replaced the work.
I mean, can you blame them though?
Oh,
I definitely wouldn't wanna work in the assembly line, and, like, as those jobs are being replaced for this, like, there was a ton of factory or there still are. I mean, there's a Kia plant not too far from here that takes up, like, a whole exit, and it's gigantic, and I don't know how many people work there. But, like, if that thing were to be just completely roboticized, like, I don't know, like, do people it's gonna eliminate so many jobs, but at the same time, like, they could have more enjoyable jobs, like, that's not a really enjoyable job.
Well, if there are jobs for them to take, right? It depends on their skill sets as well. But it also brings I guess it comes to mind the argument is since we are doing our jobs a lot faster, will there be shorter work days? Or are we gonna be tending to go into just doing more productivity? And what does that mean for the salaries of people? Do they increase? I mean, if one person is doing what 40 people are doing because they have, access to these tools and they leverage them, it's like, aren't they worth more? Aren't they worth 40 people's salaries? And I don't know if that's even caught up yet. But like I'm doing what like 10 people are doing in a daily basis and I'm just scratching the surface. I can't imagine somebody that has even like higher skill sets in terms of like more focused in higher roles that are utilizing AI for that. So are they going to be worth a lot more to that company, or are they going to look up for that person that doesn't necessarily do what 40 people are doing but works less time, and then you just put like different people that are doing that same activity just in different shifts, I guess you could say.
I think that's gonna be a huge push to go into entrepreneurship because if you can do the same amount of work, but for your own company, then you're doing 40 people's jobs, and you're making 40 times the amount of money than you would in, your regular 8-hour salaried job.
But then if you go back through history and you look at it differently and say, okay, you used to handwrite a note, shove it in an envelope and mail it, wait for it to come back. Then there was you handwrote a note and you stuck it in a fax machine, or then you typed it on a typewriter, stick it in a fax machine. All that took time. Even when you picked up the phone to make a call, that took time when you did your little rotary phone. Now you just hit a button in a speed dial, and then all of a sudden the computer just dials it for you. You don't have to dial anything. So there's all these things through time that keep speeding up and making things more productive. And at what point does that lower our work hours versus lower our wage or raise our wage or whatever as the technology keeps taking over? And then when you fall back to you physically doing more work, or is there a system in place that's taking that work over? And just because the system's taking it over doesn't mean that you did more work. So from an employer standpoint, when you look back, it's like, hey, you're doing the same amount of work. You're still here. You're still working 8 hours. You're not worth any more money. These systems are replacing that wage. But then in the entrepreneurship side, it's, I can make this much more money because I can complete these many more tasks and turn these products over and make more money.
Yeah, and at some point that catches up. So to answer your question, Will, I think it would depend on the company and it would depend on the role and it would depend on the person, that's leveraging the AI. Because I think if a company views it as, oh, if April leaves, she's got a skill set there's an abundance of this skill set on the market. I don't think they would up the wage. But if it's something that's highly specialized, like maybe they're using, let's say, like a doctor, like a specialty brain surgeon doctor who's leveraging AI to do something. And if he left, then it's a serious problem. They might say, well, yeah, he's leveraging AI. Let's give him 30% more. Let's give him 50% more. Let's give him 100% more. So there may be some considerations there. But then, Jamie, to your point about, you know, the company could be like, well, I'm paying for these AI tools for you to do more with less. It's just like saying, I gave you an email address, bro. Like, you're not doing all that stuff, right? So that
They're
could
paying you
be,
by the hour or salary. You're here, you're working, do your job. Just because
yeah,
tools got better doesn't mean your salary goes up.
because most people get compensated. They're exchanging hours of their time for a certain amount of money, right? And they're not saying, they're typically, in most cases, they're not getting compensated based on, you know, the productivity, right? Unless they're in a sales capacity and they're selling thing, but generally, like, the output. If it's just an output, they're not they're not going to get. I don't see them increasing wages significantly in that scenario, and I also don't see them. I know there were some talks of saying, "Oh, this is so amazing, all this AI, and maybe we'll have a 4-day work week." So back to your point, well, like, will people work, like, less hours? No, I think they're probably gonna still want them to, maybe in most cases, unless it's got a really cool culture, because everybody else is also increasing productivity and efficiency, so they're going to need to keep up. Like, just like we need to keep up now, like, we need full-time employees to do this, everybody's going to have access to the same technology. Now, the way that they leverage it and implement it, that's going to vary, but it's going to be accessible to everyone, so everybody's going to want to compete and keep up with the guy next to them. So I still think they'll be working full-time.
And the crazy thing is those people who are working full time, they won't even think anything different. They'll say, okay, I'm putting in my 8 hour day. It doesn't matter that I'm putting out 40 times more productivity for the company. I'm just doing the same thing that I've been doing for the past 20 years, and it doesn't matter. And then we're over here like, why would you ever do that?
And there's also somewhere in there too where we mindfully have to make a shift in our mindset. And like, well, I'll use you an example. You're completing so much work so much faster. So now you're only working 4 days a week, right? You made a choice now to only work 4 days a week, or
Is that a question? No, no, not at all. I work 7 days
They
a
work
week.
7.
but I agree, but that's the choice you make. But it's not like it's, you want to grow, you want to keep going. So the more you can get done, the quicker, the more you grow. But we choose to work those hours and put in more time and be more productive instead of going, I can sit back and only work 20 hours a week and make the same money. There's other people that sit back and go, I only need this much. I only need to work 10 hours a week now. I'm good. I'm comfortable.
Yeah, and I think that also the as this continues to be the trend, the whole thing with the new standard of how much output you can do with these tools also will make people just not want to leave the job until their job is done because of that same reason. And Heather, to your point, like I think to be an entrepreneur, it's a little you got to be a little crazy and not be afraid of risk, because a lot of the things that we do on that side of things, even if you have a job, you can be an entrepreneur still. I mean, perfect example is April. April still has a job and she does all these different things, right? But the point is, like, she there's risk involved in starting your own business, and some people don't want that risk at all. They don't wanna hold that risk whatsoever. They're okay with a salary. They're okay with working a 9 to 5. They're okay with, if your boss says you need to do this by this date, they're going to have to do it because it's a lot safer for them. So
April just plays with Nerf guns all day and uses AI.
Yeah. Well, as you guys were talking about that, I was thinking, when you said Will only works, 4 days a week or whatever, I thought about that concept. I mean, I know Will definitely does not work 4 days a week. He works 7, but it's a choice. He doesn't have somebody going, "Will, work 7 days a week," right? And so it's great that we have all this AI, but it's not good for people like us that we like to work. So if you like to work and you like to work for yourself and you like to get a lot of things done, you feel like you're being so productive, like you're 10x, like your 1 hours, like text, right, is like 10 hours. It's not it's not good because I constantly feel like I should be doing something. I constantly feel that way. It's really hard to unplug, and then when I get back to it, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many things to do. Where do I start?" And so I have to I have a hard time with my chill mode, and AI does not help that. It does not help somebody who, gets relaxed by working, which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah, and like a month ago, Artie sent a picture of April in our like group chat with all those girls, and that Artie's in for some reason
Yeah,
because he
he's one of the girls.
yeah, and he sent a picture of April just working while they were watching a movie.
So bad.
Sitting on the beach.
I'm like, "I've gotta get my stuff." We're pulling on the beach. "I have to get my Starlink hooked up. Stop. Everybody stop. This is an
You don't have
emergency."
a hat yet? You can just wear the Starlink on top of your hat.
No, the EMF would fry my freaking brain. All those satellites beaming at my head. I should not have a Starlink mini. I should take a picture for you guys. It's literally on my sunroof in my car for the last, 4 days. Because I'm like, because I was driving through some patchy spots and I needed to, get my stuff done, and I was like, "I can't lose service." Stupid, I should just drive. It's all
Be
these
my password.
enablement. Yeah, but yeah. I mean, that isn't a good look, Heather, now that you say that. Like, everybody's chilling, and here's me and my laptop, screen light on my face and everything. It's not a good look.
Dare them not be working.
I know. Well, and then I learned this a long time ago, but I still struggle with it from time to time. I have to not hold people to my expectations that I hold for myself and just let people off the hook because not everybody is wired like I'm wired and not that they should be. It's not a good way to be wired, but I have to be like, "You can chill. Actually, I'm jealous that you can chill because I cannot chill." So,
I can't either.
yeah.
I can
Yeah.
chill at my desk and work.
Yeah.
we sounds like crazy people right now.
I know. I know, but I do like to get out and network and stuff like that. I do. I will say that. I do. And I do like to, see humans in
My last
IRL in real life.
the past 2 years, I think my only vacations have been networking events.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, guys, go out there, go to national park, touch some grass, go
Yeah.
watch some bisons and bears, and you enjoy it.
Take your
Yeah.
Starlink with you.
No, it works everywhere, by the way. But
Amazing.
well, I think this wraps it up. Unless anybody has any final thoughts that they want to share that would, change somebody's life before we sign off here.
No, I look forward to next week and Will's review on what's new in Google.
I guess we have topics for next week, so stay tuned.
Gemini. Awesome. Well, follow us all on Instagram if you're not already, because all of us are putting out some great content that would be very helpful and very AI-ish. And that's a great way to get in touch with us too. So thank you everyone for tuning into our AI Hotline podcast. And I hope everyone has a great evening and see you next week.
See you next
next
week.
week.
Bye.